Shake Table Lab by Andrew Nachman and Joseph Good. On the app Sketch, Joseph and I drew a drawing of our tower on Sketch. We drew this so when we built the actual building, we knew what we were going to make. Another reason why we drew it out was because we had many ideas and we drew them out to find out which was the best one. A very important part of our tower was our base post. We added this to our tower because it kept our tower connected to our base and it also gave extra support to our tower. One of the most important parts of our tower was our support beams. These support beams were so important because it held up the flooring that holds the sandbags in place. Another really important part of the building was the cross supports. They helped hold some of the weight on the support beams. Overall, if we didn't have these beams, the tower would have collapsed very quick. The top section of the crosses is not as important than the bottom ones, but it still plays a very big role. To make the cross, we put 1 1/3 of straw together and then taped them to the edges. Also, there was flooring that held the sandbags in place. Our final measurements came out to be a little different than our plans, but it wasn't that big that we had to change it. The first story difference was 1/2 centimeter. The second story difference was 1.5 centimeters, and the base difference was 3 centimeters. Static testing was a very important part of the building process because it tested whether our building could hold sandbags. The results were positive, and when we put the sandbags on the building, it barely moved. The beams that held up the floor bent a little bit, and I would have changed that if I could. The two things that helped us the most on our tower were the cross beams and the double side posts. The cross beams really helped us because it helped hold some of the weight and distributed it evenly. The double straw posts were very important, and if they were only one straw, the building probably would have collapsed. I think that the strongest part on our building was the straw support under the flooring in the middle. This really helped because I put the straw right under where the two straws intersect because the weight goes toward the middle, so it was just an extra support under there. The weakest part of our building was the cross beams that held the flooring. I think this part was so weak because it was only one straw thick and there was nothing holding it up from below. The part of the building that required the most tape was where the parts where a diagonal straw meets a horizontal straw. I think that this part required the most tape because we had to fold the tape in half to connect the straw, so we had to use twice the amount of tape. An extra supply that we used on our building was construction paper. The construction paper was useful because it was flooring that the sandbags were supposed to go on. Another extra supply was straws. We used the straws to make an elaborate roof different than others. Here's a video of our building, and as you can see, it is shaking a lot because it's not taped down to the building well, and this is right before the building falls.
If it falls, and what do you think of the earthquake movement?
Here's a video falling in slow motion. And as you can see, the building failed on the back right post because the building was shaking a lot and all the weight kept going up and down. A very useful addition to the testing was the motion sensor. The motion sensor recorded vibrations on the X, Y, and Z axis during the earthquakes. The X-axis measured the movement of the tower side to side. The Y-axis measures how much the tower moves forward and backwards, and the Z-axis measures how much the tower moved up and down. Our building had 12 sandbags and failed on 14. Our building failed because the bottom of our building was not taped to the base well, and it started rocking. If I were to make my building stronger, I would have taped it to the base better so there was not as much rocking. What I learned from this experiment is that there are many different techniques to make a building earthquake-proof. What I enjoyed about this experiment is that I got to collaborate with my friends and work with them.
Our building sustained 12 sandbags but crashed at 14. Our building failed because the back corner was not secured enough with tape and it came out of the other straw and crashed. The cross beams were also not secure enough with tape and they bent and crashed. The changes I would have made to my tower were that I would have put more tape on the back and the cross beams. This would have secured the tower more and gave it a more sturdy foundation. I learned from my building that in order to have a strong building, you must have a strong floor, and also you must support the floors, so without extra straws. What I enjoyed about this project was that I got to work with my friends, but also that our work was tested at the end to hold us accountable.